I collect distortion units, like distortion pedals from my
Wow.
guitar. And there's certain types and they're collector's items. And anyway,
Those get expensive though, right?
yeah, well, the thing is, many years ago, I discovered a couple of distortion pedals that sound absolutely incredible through Fender Twins,
Hmm.
and they don't make them anymore.
Wow.
So you gotta look all through the internet to find these vintage distortion units.
You think you might start a doom metal side project now?
Well, the thing is, the only reason that I'm collecting them is for backups. And I have setups in different places in the world, and I don't want to have to carry shit around.
Yeah, that's smart. People lose shit all the time, especially on the road. You've been quite busy, man. You did what, like around 200 shows last year
Yeah, that's about right.
or something? How's the road been?
Oh, I love it. To me, it's like going on vacation. It really is, man. Even after all these years, because the thing is, when you do something you love, you're not working. I
Yeah.
mean, that's the best way to describe it. Um, so I go out on the road, and it's like nonstop vacation. We're in a different place every fucking night,
Make
meeting all
money?
kinds of new people and smoking pot after the show and having a good time, and get back in the van and drive for a couple hours, get to a motel, go to sleep, wake up, drive another few hours. Now I'm in a new place.
And we have some very exciting news. Anvil's 20th record is coming out June 28th. Um, how does this record stand out from the rest of the band's discography? 20 albums, that's a lot.
Well, you know what? It's not a. We've been gaining a momentum um, in recent years, where we've been, and what I mean by a momentum is touring, write album, touring, write an album, touring, and now we're, I don't know, six or seven past the movie or something. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
There's pre-movie and then there's after movie, and we've been living in the after movie, and it's quite it's been 15 years of nonstop work. I mean,
Nothing wrong with
I
that.
know it's hard to believe that the movie came out 15 years ago, but that's how long ago it came out.
2008.
Yeah, and we have not stopped working and recording. It's more like a real band than ever. People talk about Anvil and, hey man, your old days were your heyday. No, I hate to tell you.
The band's bigger than it's ever been.
Immediately old fans get bent out of shape about things like that, because they're old fans and they figure that, because they're old, or I don't even know what they're figuring, but they don't really grow with you.
Yeah, and
And
that
I'm
happens.
I'm and I'm just as guilty as everybody else, because a lot of bands that I used to love I no longer love anymore because they're not doing what I want to hear.
Yeah, I can definitely relate, man. And it's like, unfortunately, with a lot of fans, they cling to nostalgia a little too much just because it's their childhood record, and
Well, that
that's
that
it.
is exactly why. It's because
Um,
it's because because they grew up with it. That's what makes the big difference. That's what music is. It's our uh, as each person has their own sort of history, and when you listen to that music, it makes you delve into that history. It reminds you, that piece of music will remind you of when you were 15 years old. This is when you had the whole world, and what it is when you have the whole world by the balls, and you think you could do anything. Those are those are the years that are the most impressed. That where music really leaves an impression on you, and you
Yeah.
never let go of it. You can't let go of it, and it stays with you for the rest of your life, and it's really hard to move out of it. So that by the time you're 25 or 30, you don't let anything new in. Not really.
It's a shame.
Well, that's just the way it is. It's human nature. It's just the way it is.
Yeah, yeah. And like and I think, Anvil definitely stands the test of time because like, you have so many new fans. The movie came out when I was in fifth grade. So
Yeah, look at it. That movie's been out for most of your life.
yeah.
You just think about that, right? It's like, holy shit.
It's
And time
crazy.
time chews up so fast, man.
It does.
It's unbelievable, man.
It
You know, I,
does.
during the making of the movie, I was turning 50. I'm 68.
Yeah. Is touring going fine though? Almost being 70, you're still having no problem like being on the road and stuff.
No, not with that, but you have things that happen because of your age. Like I got a well, I had a heart condition.
Yeah.
It's fixed, it's repaired, right? But I still have to go through getting it repaired.
Yeah. Got to go
And
to the
it's
mechanic.
yeah, it's not you had to go to the mechanic, and it wasn't a major thing. It was, just a couple of circuits had to be fixed.
Yeah. Yeah.
It wasn't even like it wasn't heart surgery or anything. It's really just electrical adjustment. That's the best way I can describe it.
Well, I'm glad you're back at it, man. You got
I never really stopped.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
True, true. You got the Anvil money, to get your own electric. I don't know how much those electric pipes cost, but Jesus Christ, man. Like you look like you're living luxury right now. You got your 20th record, you know, in the
Yeah,
movie, you're
I'm
look
using my electronic smoking machine. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Well,
So
here this is like so legal here. You know what I mean?
legal at last. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's that's kind of the way it is, right?
Yeah.
I never really treated it like it was illegal.
Yeah.
I've been smoking pot since I was 14. So what the hell?
Yeah, yeah. Do you what like going to concerts and stuff? What would you like bring a couple joints, see Black Sabbath?
Uh, I'm not a big time, like I don't smoke a lot.
Uh
Once or twice a day at the most. And I can't say that's every day. Sometimes I don't smoke for weeks on end.
yeah.
There was a period of time I did two years without smoking anything, and that was to stop smoking cigarettes, which is the biggest accomplishment of my life.
How long have you been off cigs?
6 years.
6 years. Nice, man.
Yeah, I don't even think about it, and I had to really think about it to come up with the 6 years because time is going. I'm going, well, only a couple of years ago. No, that's not a couple of years ago. If
yeah,
it was
that's
6 years ago, I would still get cravings. I don't get cravings anymore.
definitely a theme of this episode. Now one and only, very, very exciting. The single's been stuck in my head. It's so catchy. I'd love to know what was the creative chemistry when putting together that record between all
Well,
the members.
what's really interesting is there was no there was no real chemistry.
What?
No, no, the only chemistry was filling my bowl full of pot, getting high, and writing right in this very room. I call it my yellow room.
Pack the creativity in a bowl. That's all you need, I
Yeah,
guess.
I just begin writing, and I put songs together in here like complete bed tracks. And what do I mean by bed tracks? They're the guitar part from top to bottom, what makes up the song. I write all the music. I know where all the verses are going. I know where the lead solo goes. Everything is like I completely create the bed track, the skeleton,
Yeah.
basically speaking. And then once that's done, I bring that to rehearsal and I
Got it.
play it for the other guys, and they figure out all their accompaniment to it. And sometimes that accompaniment really shapes the song. Sometimes you have to change the arrangement because you didn't realize that certain movements need more space or less space or whatever. So you have to adjust. You make some small adjustments, but they're usually very small from the time I get out of this room to the time that it actually gets recorded. Very little changes.
Yeah. So you have
I
like a
know
whole home
that's
setup.
kind of weird. That's kind of weird. But when one person writes and they happen to be the guitar player, the lead guitar player, and the singer, they know the song.
Tell me about it. So you have a nice home setup, I assume.
Well, not as elaborate as, and actually I think that's the magical part, is less is more.
For sure.
And
Yeah.
and what I mean by that is I've got a multi-tracking uh, uh, program in my computer.
Like Pro Tools.
No, it's not Pro Tools. It's just a stupid thing that you can get and put it in your computer, and away you go. You start putting tracks on one on top of the other, and you can write really quickly and effectively.
Yeah, if it
And
works, it
everything,
works.
yeah, and you have to know what you're doing. The more that you know what you're doing, the better it sounds because you know what you're doing.
For sure, man.
You have to have I think experience makes a huge difference, but experience from the old days when everything was analog, and you're using a 4-track recorder to do everything, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And
This,
listen,
this is this is ridiculous. It's endless tracks, so it's
you're not running out of
it's
tape.
no, you're not running out of tape, and you can do it as many times as you want. Um, I don't, I don't correct the stuff. I just do it till it's correct here at home. Like, what do I mean by that? Well, when I write the bed track, I play into my computer and create a, a bed track. Okay. That's step one. But that's how I teach the other guys what's going on. I take it into rehearsal, and each song takes about a week to get completely solid, or solid enough that I record it with a 2-track digital machine. It's one of those handheld things with the 2 microphones that
Yeah.
stick out of it, and I record rehearsal like that. And of course, by trial and error, you eventually you get as perfect a mix as you could possibly get for a rehearsal room without miking everything, without turning it into a fucking, you know,
Like
into a
a recording
recording.
studio. Yeah.
I don't want to make a recording session. I just want to record these songs and get it done with, and figure out how the song goes before I start getting technical. Oh, what's the sound of that bass drum? Fuck that, man. I don't it's can I hear the bass drum? Okay, I can hear it. That's good. Done. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? And it's the natural sound within the room. So it's actually pretty really cool. So we get a relatively good mix because we have a PA system in the room as well. So anything like it's like all the drums are actually amplified, so there's nothing missing in the mix, so you can hear everything. It's just not tweaked individual tracks. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's not like a multi-track. Yeah.
No, it's one piece. It's the whole song is one piece of music in stereo. That's it. The bed track is two tracks instead of 24. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, now I take that two track and I bring that home, and then I load that into my multi-track thing in my computer. Now I start writing lyrics, and the lyrics, I sit here for literally hours trying to figure out what's the best chorus line. How does that work with the but it's finding the right words. It's not that I don't know how to apply it. It's about what's this song about, and that's the hardest process.
Out of all
So
of it.
what I do is I have Rob, who is extremely imaginative when it comes to putting words like titles and stuff like that. He some of the stuff, it's like, no, I don't think so. but to a great degree, I mean, there's a huge like massive lists of, so that I sit there and I
Wow.
through the list of, and I see if it's the right syllables, if it's the right, the right rhythm on the beats, and eventually it's like putting a puzzle together. I got it all. These are all the songs, and they're Rob's titles, and then once you have the title, you know what you're writing about, and I write the lyrics.
Interesting. Are there any rejected titles that come to mind as of recently? That were just
I'd
like,
have
no
to,
way we can do that.
I'd have to, I'd have to go through it, and I could tell you songs that were once, uh,
Like were they
yeah,
too
like
inappropriate?
Future Fantasy was something about Road to Sunshine.
Oh.
That's
The
how it
hell was that
started.
about? Yeah.
Well, it wasn't about anything. I'm just saying it was a
It's a cool
discovering
title.
how many syllables work on the ding 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 ding
Oh,
ding
got it. Yeah.
ding.
Okay.
Yeah, what how do the vocals work on that? Road to Sunshine.
Got it.
That's how they
Yeah.
work. Okay, that's
Yeah.
why. And of
Wow.
course, that I'm going, you can't have a song called Road to Sunshine. I mean, you know that, but
Yeah.
you have to find lookalikes and sound alikes and all those kind of
Yeah.
things, and then you finally figure it out. And then it was like, it went to, actually, that went through a number of changes, and it till it ended up to feed your fantasy. Um, at first it was fulfill your fantasy, but then it didn't sound right. It's wrong syllable rhythm.
Yeah.
Fulfill your fantasy. Nope. And the nope, that doesn't work either, right? So you go through transitions, and then one day I'm watching TV, and there's a travel, like a travel commercial for Expedia or one of the many traveling apps that we have in our phone. And the guy goes, feed your fantasy. And I went, that's it.
That's the one. It's catchy.
Yeah. And as soon as I realized that, and then it was like, wow, okay, that really, really works. Like, it really works. And I got it from something that is a proven winner, like an advertising campaign. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
You gotta know that works. It's rolls off the tongue like it's meant to be there, right? So
Yeah, for sure.
you know when you've hit pay dirt, and you got to know when to stop too, right? It's not just you go. Some things go through a transition until you get there, but you finally get there. So
Yeah.
yeah, Road to Sunshine turned to Feed Your Fantasy.
For the best. Definitely for the best. Now,
Oh
man,
yeah, well,
so many with 20 records. How are you going to go about, you have some dates in May. How are you going to go about putting together a set list with so many
well, actually,
records?
all we're doing is we're just swip swapping stuff around
Yeah.
because, and what do I mean by that? Like we were doing two songs from the newest album. Now we're going to do only one, and I'm going to do one from the newest album.
Okay.
That's how this is going to start out. And you know what? I don't like, and neither does the audience. They don't want to hear three, four new songs. They don't.
You don't think so?
They'd rather hear three or four old songs, songs they know.
Yeah. Well,
I
I have
know,
great
and
hopes
it's
for
stuff
this.
I know. And until a record's been out, you don't really listen, man. One of the last times I saw Motorhead, Lemmy walks up to the microphone. I'm not going to play any songs from my new album. I couldn't believe he said that. Like he goes right up to the mic and says that. I
Well,
go,
well,
wow.
well, I think you guys are so consistently good, man. Like your records are just like it's the consistency is there. You don't have like a bad album, which is so
Oh well,
rare.
that depends on who you ask.
Oh yeah. Do you think there's a bad Anvil record? Probably a terrible question to ask. But I
Well,
don't think
it's
there is.
there's albums that I was extraordinarily dissatisfied, but for all different reasons.
Got it.
It's not just one album I'm dissatisfied. There's a few places that I've been dissatisfied in in retrospect. In retrospect, which isn't really fair,
Yeah.
because I believed and did it to my the best I could on each at the time of each record. So not it's not really fair to go, hey man, in 1998 you sucked. It's like, is that really fair? I don't know.
I don't think so. I don't think so. Um,
Well, I mean, there are albums like the album Plugged In Permanent went a couple steps too far, where the we began to try to sound like the bands we influenced rather than to be the band that's influencing.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And that's not and it's
It
interesting.
happens.
It's interesting because you're faced with what are you going to do to sound relevant today? You know that when you get to be a band of, let's say, 20 years, what are you going to do to stay in step with what's going on 20 years after your first album? You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? You're looking around and you're seeing what's cool these days, and you're going, wow, maybe I should let some of these influences in and see how it works for me. I mean, metal is metal, and a riff is a riff, and it's all relative, I guess. But um, what happened was, of course, we adopted in a lot of like things like thrash and death metal into
Yeah.
into Anvil, and it's like that's where the label when we put that album out, they made a T-shirt too heavy for the wimps,
It's good to
and that's
experiment
because
though.
and that's because people are going, what happened to the good old Anvil, man? You guys aren't a thrash band. how can the band that did, you know, Forge and Fire be doing, racial hostility? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's like
Uh-huh.
full on. It's like, it's not really the same. It's the same, but it's way different. I'm not. I wasn't singing really. You're yelling in tune.
Yeah, I don't think it's bad though, and I think it's a welcomed, like diversity in the band's music, and it's not like it's a Saint Anger or anything. Every band kind of goes through that period where it's like,
Well,
let's try
I'm not,
to,
yeah, I'm not even making excuses. I'm just saying that these are the transitions that we went through.
of course.
And it kind of interesting. And it, it's like our bass player these days, he kind of really wishes he was there because that's when we were a prog band.
Yeah. Well, I know, right?
Well, I mean, you weren't writing songs for the sake of trying to get something very, very cohesive. You're getting songs so you could be extremely artistic
Yeah.
and flamboyant and everything but commercial.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And everything but, you know, it's being as heavy as you possibly can without any compromise whatsoever, and no thought whatsoever to let's say your female listeners, none.
Yeah.
That's one
Uh-huh.
aspect. Another aspect is the people who like melody, all the people who like the dimensions of what era that we came from are not going to be very happy and weren't very happy with what we were doing. They're going, what the hell? Now you sound like fucking death metal. What the hell? The reason I buy your record is so that I don't hear that shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. So I assume there's no death metal on the new record then.
well, no, but there's still speed.
Of course.
Oh, yeah, of course. And there always will be. There
Yeah.
always will be. But it's our version of those things. It's certainly not, tut, 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 tut. It's not that stuff, you know. No, it isn't anything. We're not doing that,
Yeah.
racial hostility. No, we're not doing that.
Yeah, there's a video of you out there of reacting to the band Party Cannon. They're a
Oh no.
slam death metal band. There's a video of you went in the studio and you were like, "What the fuck is this?" And it was so fun. Do you remember that Party Cannon?
Yeah, yeah, that's my friend Jorg, one of our producers, recorded that
Yeah.
because I think he was producing it, and he got such a kick out of the expression and everything that I get on my face when he starts, because he's an absolute pro at producing that music. So and as crazy as it sounds, he hates it as much as I do.
Really?
Yeah, and the reason he says that is because none of these guys can play. Well, it says that one in every 100 of those bands, you'll find that there's a couple guys that can actually play. But for the most part, no one actually records a song top to bottom. Everything is done in pieces.
Yeah, that is true.
The drumming is is repaired and placed because no one can play the kick drums like they need to be.
Yeah.
And that goes for all the guitars and everything else. The guy is a Pro Tools genius. Okay. And
Yeah.
that's what it's become. That's what that music has become. And it becomes very technical. It's not even real music anymore because it's being fabricated by the producer because no one can
Yeah.
play it. No one is capable of playing like that. But you can look at all the on the screen and make it all perfect. And you're going, wow, listen how incredible these guys are. No, they're not. You're listening how incredible a computer can be.
Metal was destined to evolve into that eventually, though, because you can only
I
get so
guess,
fast.
I guess, but it certainly didn't start out that way. It was
Yeah.
all it was all experimental, and there was so much spontaneity, and that's what made it so creative. But when it becomes so exacting and so mathematical, something seems to get lost. Absolutely. Now, you know,
Field.
now that we're discussing that kind of metal, we can discuss of what we do, what Anvil does. All of our bed tracks are played top to bottom. Rob plays first note to the last note. The whole thing is a performance. Every bed track. We rehearse for almost a year before going in, so that every possible variation will have been written.
Yeah.
Okay, so like every type of drum roll, every type of any kind of combination, so that when we get there, we can really nitpick. The producers, there's both guys are drummers, so they can nitpick and pick and choose what they like, what they don't like, and
Yeah.
and some of it is it's so incredible, um, because you've got that filtering system, because you're playing for real. It's playing for real. It's not the placement of all the drums and the notes. It isn't. It's a guy really playing, and
Yeah.
that's not. And it's not sequenced drums or electronic drums. It's the sound of a drum with a microphone on it.
It's you guys.
Yeah, it's really old school style of recording where everything is done for real.
Yeah, and it's unfortunately becoming kind of a lost art form, even on Metallica's new record. Like you can tell, I have a producer friend who was like, "Oh my God, everything was so digitally reorganized on
Of
each
course,
track."
but that's the standard everybody's is used to listening to, right?
Yeah.
And what we are doing is we're actually trying to work against the technology. But when I by using it really sparingly, so that you don't ruin the nature of of the music. And
Yeah.
that's to what good production is to us, is not to go ridiculously over the top, because you can, and it's easy to do, because all you have to do is press a button, and it's done. It's fixed to perfection. What's perfection?
Mm,
It's a perspective, nothing more, and an opinion. So
yeah.
what's perfect? So what perfect is what you played, because you meant to play it. Don't move
Yes.
that. Don't move that note.
Very well said. We're talking about then versus now. You've seen the vinyl age turn into the CD age. Now we're in the whole world of streaming. Everyone's on streaming services. Streaming has completely taken over the industry. What are your thoughts on the domination of streaming services in the climate now?
Well, I mean, I think that it's actually, in a certain sense, it's where it was going to end up. Um, then you don't have to you actually don't have to own a library. You just have to have an internet.
Yeah.
and you can listen to any song you want any time of day. You don't have to wait a whole day for the radio to play it. You know what I mean? You can hear the newest music by the newest artists instantaneously. It's it's the modern world. That's what it is. What do I think of it? Well, it's made it impossible for um, music to be paid for in the grand sense that the musicians can't get paid from this, and they haven't been. It's
Yeah.
it's insane, actually.
If you're an
Uh,
upcoming artist, like it's really
yeah,
impossible to make any money.
I mean, you're already faced with a million impossibilities to begin with. Now you're faced with how are you going to sell music that no one wants to buy? No one's
Yeah.
buying
Yeah.
anybody's music. They're just streaming it, and when they stream it, the advertisers are actually making money to what they're advertising, and to a certain degree, that's all you're making money from is from the advertisement of your video and your song. And what that does, it turns that listening into somebody showing up at your gig. And then that turns into somebody buying your t-shirt. And that's what we're looking at. That's what's happened to the music industry. So if
Many
it isn't your
steps. Yeah.
t-shirts, if it isn't your t-shirts, it's the little devil horns that they sell at the AC/DC concert
Yeah.
that cost them something like 25 cents and they sell for 15 bucks. Now
Crazy.
that's
Yeah.
making money, man.
It's crazy. And
That's
then,
well, that's what's had to happen because they can't sell your music. You can
yeah.
sell them a ticket to your show, and you can sell them a piece of merchandise. That's it. That's how you got to make your money. That's how I'm making my money. That's how all the bands are making their money.
Yeah. And
And
all these
and
bands.
when the promoter pays the band that chunk of money, it pays for them to be there. That's it. It pays for their road crew. It pays for their gas. It
Yeah.
pays for their hotel room. It pays for all that.
The
But does it
weed.
put money in the musician's pocket? No. The
Yeah.
merchandise, the t-shirts, and the ticket sales. That's it.
Yeah, and it's forcing bands, I'm seeing with this whole vinyl boom now, bands are putting out 20 different variants and it's like collect them all, you know. Will
That's
Anvil
the
be
only
jumping
well,
on
that's
that?
the only way to sell anything is if it's a collectible.
Yeah.
'Cause that's the only reason to own anything. Right?
Yeah. Get the rainbow, vinyl. You got to get the red one, the blue one, the clear one.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, or don't get one at all.
Yeah, well, you guys will be having a record, like a physical release too, right?
Yeah, they still got physical release for Anvil, thank goodness.
Yeah, for
I,
sure.
I'm grateful for it. I'm grateful for it. Grateful, totally. How couldn't I be? You
And
know,
people
it's
love them.
and I still believe in the old way. I still say CDs they're my favorite. CDs are my favorite, and that's because they sound great. They sound great all the time. They never go away. They don't wear out like a cassette tape or like a vinyl. So I can put in a CD from 20 years ago and it sounds just the same.
Yeah, CDs are great. It just sucks, man, because like some cars
And
don't
they
even
don't
have.
crash. They're not going to lose the data. All the things that happened are MP3. I dropped my MP3 player. Oh, fuck. No, I can't. No music. Oh, well. All those thousand songs gone. Oh well.
You don't have to dust it off every time like a record.
Yeah,
Um,
I still that's how I feel about it. But it doesn't mean that's I'm right or wrong. It's just it's just an opinion.
yeah, it's all taste, It just sucks that like a lot of cars now don't even have CD players. Like you kind of have to buy your own stereo nowadays. but it's like, hey,
Yeah,
I've
yeah.
got one. I've got I've got a CD player, cassette deck, and a record player. Why not? I wanna talk about the movie. Um, what was your reaction when you were first approached to like make an official Anvil movie? Like, what was that initial reaction from you?
I was shocked. I broke out crying.
Oh wow.
Yeah, because but you got to realize you got somebody that worked with Steven Spielberg.
Yeah.
It's saying, I'm going to do a movie about you. What do you think your reaction would be?
I think I'd cry too.
Yeah, man. It's like it's not some bobo with a fucking with a video camera. You know what I mean? It, it to me it I just looked at it. It it justifies all the years waiting and all the years work. And it wouldn't mean a damn thing if I hadn't done all the work.
Yeah. Yeah.
That everything had its reason. Like all of a sudden, everything came, everything in my life came into focus in that 1 second. That it was all for this
Yeah.
moment. There'd be no movie if there was no history. And that's what
Mhm.
it was all about. And the attitude it took to get that, to get there. You know what I mean? And so when he said that to me, I knew immediately in my soul this was going to be spectacular,
Yeah.
without any question whatsoever. In my mind, more so than even more so than even the guy who's made the movie. Like I had an instant flash of what it was going to be. I saw it. And that's why I broke up crying. I couldn't handle it. I realized right at that moment my ship had just come in.
Yeah.
And was I right? Obviously, in hindsight, I can say that, but and you can say no, you weren't, you didn't really, you just that it did happen, so you can say that now. No, I was saying it from the onset. I mean, it was ridiculous to the point where when the movie got done, the whole idea was we're going to take it to Sundance. I didn't realize that it has to be accepted by an entry to a panel. I
Mhm.
didn't know that. I assumed you do the movie and you hand it in, and then it just happens. Yeah, right.
Oh
So,
my God.
I go, they go, okay, well, we're gonna see if we can we're going to enter our movie into competition to get into Sundance. And I went, what do you mean? You got to be kidding me. They're going, no, you're competing with hundreds if not thousands of other movies. And I'm going, holy shit, you got to be kidding me. And they're going, no, we're not kidding. So I go, well, we're going to get in. Well, how could you be so sure? I know it. I just know it. How can we not get in? How could something this well done not get in? Well, it got in
Yeah, without
without
surprise.
any problem and became really the movie of that year for Sundance, in the sense that it got the special treatment where all the people who work at Sundance get to go see the movie in on one theater, right? So all the workers from all the other theaters from all over Park City there came to see the movie, and they
Yeah.
went fucking crazy, man.
As they should. It's probably the greatest movie in all of metal.
We were just like jaw dropping, like it's getting a standing ovation to a movie. Like what the fuck?
Yeah. And it started with my dick out, you know? That was so funny when I was a kid and I watched that. And I think the first like minute, it's your centerfold. It's hilarious. Um, um,
Yeah, well,
how
it's
it captures Anvil, it captures everything you are.
yeah, that was a point of contention actually. It's interesting because I
For
didn't want
sure.
I was freaking out. I didn't want that to be in there, right? And the lady producer, um, she sits me down and she goes, "Look at it's you're bearing everything else about yourself. Everything is already out there. This is just a symbol of it." And she goes, "There's nothing to be embarrassed. You haven't got anything or anything different than any other person on this earth. So what is there to?" And you indeed let them take that picture of you. So what are you doing? Why did you let them take that picture? It's because you had nothing to, you were not, have no shame. And she goes, Do you have shame?" And I went, "No." She says, "Then let the picture go." I said, "You're right.
Yeah.
You're
And the
right."
rest of the movie is way more revealing, if anything, about your life.
Oh, absolutely. That's like the most minimal part, right?
Yeah.
You know,
Exactly.
saying the world is seeing me falling apart and bawling my eyes out and being on the edge of the destruction. What the hell, man?
Yeah.
A second of me naked, so fucking what? It doesn't mean much difference. I think you're more naked than what I revealed, you know?
Yeah. And it's almost a symbol, if anything, in the beginning of the movie of like, this is about to be a very revealing
That,
picture.
that's exactly why it's there and what was explained to me why it's there. And then when seeing it, when understanding it on rather than seeing it as myself, see it from outside myself and watching it. Don't attach yourself to it. Step back and see it for what it actually is rather than what you believe it to be.
Yeah.
It, it,
Yeah.
it's it's an interesting thing, and at this point, I find it very difficult to watch the entire movie. And why? All the dead people.
Yeah.
It's fucking pretty hard to watch, man. For me, a lot of people have died that were in that movie, man.
Yeah.
And so, but having said that, it's actually interesting because they still live there
Hmm.
and they will forever. And that's the other thing about it. It's actually pretty fascinating.
The legacy.
Yeah, like my mother's still there, my brother is still there, CT is still around, Lemmy is still around. They're still in that movie. They're still alive in that movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. It's like a time machine almost. And like 2008 wasn't yesterday, you know.
No.
It's been almost a lifetime since that movie's come
Well,
out.
yeah, you're talking about a lot of people passing away that, Malcolm Dome.
Yeah.
That was the guy with the round glasses,
Yes.
and the only one band, Anvil, and they, that guy. He passed away. CT passed away. Lemmy passed away. My brother passed away. My mother, my dog that was in the movie.
Oh,
Um, Geez,
yeah.
I'm probably forgetting a couple people. Obviously, Lemmy, Jethro. You know, yeah, it just
Well, it's been a while since you've
yeah, it's been a
revisited.
while, man. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right.
Yeah.
and eventually I'm going to be one of them too.
We all will, you know?
We all will, man. That's it.
Yeah. So how soon, like how directly after its airing did you start seeing opportunity? Like
Well, it
just
was even
instantly?
before, even as
Before.
it as it's being released. We're traveling all over the world to different um, film festivals. We were at Cannes Film Festival. We played a gig there, and Tilda Swinton showed up.
Yeah. Something that's overlooked. You got on late night right after that. You're on
Yeah,
Conan.
I mean that's just that part of it too is the actors the actors that were so deeply affected by the movie because it's a bit
Raw.
it's and it's the aspect of what got captured there emotionally it, it, by non-actors is beyond fucking unbelievable to an actor. See, so
Yeah.
when an actor sees me, my lips are gibbering because I'm crying and I'm really crying. They do everything they fucking can to when they're acting like that to make it look like that, and it's almost impossible. But yet somebody who isn't even an actor is pulling off what they can't do
Yeah.
or what is so difficult to do. If you understand what I'm saying.
Oh,
Now,
for sure. Yeah. Fully.
so it's interesting. You got a guy like Sir Anthony Hopkins watched the Anvil movie and was so blown away by what that the director was able to actually get these takes of non-actors pouring out emotion like that. He's going, I gotta work with this guy. I mean, that's what that turned into. So it turned
Wow.
into so much in that way that Sasha was asked to direct the movie Hitchcock. So
Yeah.
that's Anthony Hopkins. So I'm just saying that there were things that happened for the
Wow.
director that were also really positive stuff because it's an exemplary job that he did. It's just and it's certainly magical. There were aspects, man, like that you're going, how did this happen? Like, how does you make things like this happen? You don't. And most, if not all of it, is just by chance. And you're going, fuck, that's like, I don't even know what do you call that? you know, he calls me something like in August of 2006, and he goes, "Listen, man, we have to we have to have we have to have a concert in Japan." I go, "Well, how the fuck am I going to get a concert in Japan?" He goes, "Just call them." Call who? What do you mean call them?
The country?
You go, who am I calling? You know what I mean? It's like, um,
Yeah.
so we end up doing this show here in Toronto, and this guy that we know, this this sort of somewhat friend, shows up to the gig, and at the end of the gig, he was helping us move the equipment. Well, he picked up one of my Fender Twins and he dropped it. Now he's my friend. I barely knew him, but now he's my friend because he owes me.
And I think you're sick of people owing you money at this point.
Yeah, so he paid for all the repairs, which was all. Yeah, that's all cool. That there was no problem. But the thing that was, quite incredible is he he took off to Japan. He just happened to be going to Japan because he's friends with the guys in Loudness. Whatever.
Wow.
People who are
Just
into metal, people who are into metal are into metal, and it's on a worldwide basis. And he met the guys in Loudness when they came to Canada years ago, and he's friends with them, and he's going to go see them in Japan. So he goes to the concert. So he
huh.
goes to the concert, and their promoter happened to be there, and he starts talking to the promoter. Why don't you get Anvil to come to Japan? Without knowing anything about me needing a show in Japan. He didn't know I needed a show in Japan. I had no clue. The guy goes, "Yeah, man, why don't you get Anvil? They haven't been here in 25 years. I think it's time." And the guy kind of scratched his head. He goes, "Yeah, good idea." So Sasha says to me, and like I said, and this is in like August or September, we need a show in Japan by the middle of October. I'm going, yeah, right. I'll get right on that. So anyway,
Wow.
the guy comes back from Japan. He goes, expect a call. Expect a call, man, because a call's coming from Japan about you doing a gig there. And I'm going, what? He goes, yeah, it's coming any minute. The phone rings, and it's the promoter from Japan. The guy goes, we need you to come and play on October 15th.
The stars aligned for like, oh my
I
God.
almost I almost passed out, dude.
That's just insane. Like it's like there was another power at B for this whole thing.
Yeah, and that's just one example. I don't even like there's a whole bunch of that shit
I
that went
believe
on
you.
all through it. All through it. It's just crazy. Like what?
It's just so crazy, man, because not a lot of bands can say they've influenced, a whole like genre of music, influence actors. I discovered the movie because I'm a comedian, and I used to watch a lot of interviews with Bill Burr. And in an interview, brought up the movie and how much it inspired him and meant a lot to him. And I'm like, oh my God, I got to check out this band and movie. And it's crazy, man. Everyone in the arts, it's rippled throughout all, and it must be a great feeling.
Yeah, it's amazing to be part of it. Sometimes it's really surreal, man. I'm one of their community. Like I'm kind of been allowed into their community in some weird way. And you're going, what the fuck have I got to do with Clint Eastwood, for fuck's sakes? There I am shaking his hand at some fucking dinner place, man. You know what I mean? It's like, what the fuck?
Where you couldn't even
Even
get in with EMI before.
even recently, I went to visit Sasha down in L.A. and he took me he goes, we're going to go to a Hollywood party. I'm going, okay. Well, it takes me to a Hollywood party, and there's Dustin Hoffman, who I already know. He's there with his wife, and they're dancing and shit to some fucking rapper. I'm going,
Wow.
what am I seeing, man?
The
And I
shit
take
you're
a
a part of.
there's Jane Fonda, and it's like, what the fuck am I doing here?
Put out another move and you'll be in the Eyes Wide Shut club, you know?
It's just, it's kind of it's really really cool, but at the same time, it's hilarious. You know what I mean? Because I think it's funny. I think that there's a certain level of this that's actually funny. I've made it for not making it.
Yeah. In Hollywood, in all
Yeah,
places.
that's weird, man. That's a weird combination. But then having said that, the movie the movie has been misconstrued in many ways, in citing that the band is losers, that we were never successful. That's you can't really say that about a band that's recording its 13th album.
Yeah, exactly. That's not a band starting out, you know.
I'm sorry, but if someone had told me that they're going to call me a failure after 13 albums, I'd be going, holy fuck, I guess they've never recorded an album before, which is usually the case. That's exactly the case. The only people who are going to think that are people that have never recorded before. Never, you have to realize every time you go do a record, it's a level of success that you are achieving. To be, not only did you write the songs and all that and record them, but you meant enough for a label to put out thousands of dollars and make a bet on you, because that's what record deals are. They're a make a bet on you. And I've been worth betting on, by the time I did that album, 13 times. Most people don't even get to do it twice, never mind 13 times.
Yeah, bands are lucky to get the one.
Yeah, how many years did it take you to get your first record deal? Can you even get a record deal? Okay, never mind do it 13 times. Okay, that's I think that there's a point to be made about it, and it's not. I'm not trying to defend myself. I am simply stating facts. They're
Definitely.
really, really simple facts. You know what I mean? And here I am, almost twice as far as I was then at 20 albums. I don't think it's any different today than it's been any all along. It's still all a challenge. It's still a fight to survive. It's still relatively all the same, but on a much more secure level.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, hey man, here's 20
I
more
haven't I
records.
haven't had to have a I haven't had to have a regular job since the movie.
No more
I've
food
been
delivery
doing
anytime soon.
no more food deliveries. I'm been doing this already for 15 years.
Just
It's
delivering the
all
music.
good. Yep.
Uh-huh, for sure. Well, hey, the new record comes out in June. Here's to 20 more albums. Willie
I gotta
Nelson's put
live
out a
that long. I
record.
gotta live that long, but I'm
Well, listen, before we end things off, I just want to know what's the future of Anvil look like and how can fans stay updated with the band?
well, generally you can always find out stuff on either my Instagram. Uh, there's Anvil Real Deal or it, Lips Anvil from my Instagram. Um, the Facebook page for the Anvil band has been there for a number of years, and that's usually where we post where all of our shows are upcoming. We don't. There is, of course, a fan site. You can always go there too, but that's how you kind of keep up with what we're doing.
Awesome.
What
And you're doing a lot of dates in May, I believe.
Yeah, actually, we're going to be coming to the States in July and August, and then we're doing Europe probably September and October, and right into November, I believe. We got about 3 months going there, so.
Awesome to
Uh,
hear, man.
and then, of course, then when we get back, it's going to be into the new year, and then we're going to probably come back to the States again for the second leg, because we only do about 30 or 40 shows at a time, but we do about 80 in total. So, you got to, you don't do it all at once. You got to kind of come in and out.
Do it in
But
seasons.
in between, we do things like Japan and Canada and stuff. So there's always it's virtually endless. And at some point, I'm going to have to start putting together all the stuff I've been compiling in here and taking into rehearsal and get number 21 ready. But
Of course. Well, hey man, I'll let you
but there's never
get on
any
that.
end. There's never any end, man. Let's hope
There
not.
never is. There never is. The grind never stops. Lips, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for joining me.
Yeah, sorry for being late, but I think we made up for
We
it.
for sure did. This has been awesome. I'm Brandon Battick, and this is Disturbing the Priest.